topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hi, I'm Shelby Wagner, host of Learning to Dance in the Rain, and I want to welcome you to my show. I'm very happy to have you here today. I have to apologize right from the beginning here because Matt Thornton, who was going to be my guest today, an investigator, we had to reschedule because he had a family emergency. But he will be back. He will be here in 2 weeks if everything is fine. So that's what happened. And that's why today who is Shelby Wagner? Author and host. Wow. Never expected to be where I am today at the age of 84 or not. Oh my gosh, no, not 84, but I'm going to have a birthday in a couple of weeks and I will be 82. So I do have lots of experiences to share and maybe you'll be interested in some of my stories. A week ago, Friday, I wanted to talk to you about this, but because it's really a funny story, but my friend and I were coming home from a dance in Three Rivers, Michigan. And all of a sudden, his car exploded. And I looked over and I saw glass flying everywhere, green pebbles of grass. He thought it was we turned over or something and it was gravel, but we didn't. So I managed to get the car stopped and pulled over onto the shoulder. And we got out of the car and there was nobody in sight. Nothing there but us and the broken glass all over the shoulder of the road. So we looked at each other and thought, what on earth? And I had first thought, did somebody shoot a gun at us? Break that window in the back, the passenger side? And we just were really wondering what on earth happened. And I do remember that I had seen a horse and a buggy go down the shoulder soon after the explosion. And so I wondered, oh boy, it looks like if they had hit me or I had hit them, they would have stopped. They wouldn't have been able to go. So we didn't know what happened, but we looked at the passenger side of my friend's car and it's totally destroyed. Oh, from the front of the front door on the right there all the way back to the very back. And the worst thing, of course, was that back passenger door, which had the window completely shattered. There was no glass left in it at all. And it was all over the floor and everything. And the door was, oh my gosh, the door was caved in. So what happened to Shelby that night? Well, I called the police and the police car came in about half an hour. And what happened? And I said, I'd like to know. I don't know. We got out of the car. Nobody was here but us. And it's just like it is right now. And we were kind of in front of a park. And so we were all three flummoxed. Have you ever heard that word? We just had no idea what had happened to our car. I asked the policeman if he thought it could have been a deer, and he looked at the side of the car and he said, well, there's a hair there. And so he says, well, I'll write it up as a deer hit you. And it's definitely they hit you. You didn't hit them. And so he went back to his car and wrote up his report, came back and was handing it to us. And he says, he noticed across the road, a Amish horse and buggy had come over about 5 minutes earlier. And he yelled across the road at them if they needed help or what could he do to help them. And the guy yelled back, I'm the one that hit that car. And so the police officer who had just told us that we could leave, said, I think you better stay here for a little bit longer. So he went across, talked to them. He had the flashlight, and he looked over the buggy and the horse was all bloody. And the left, above the left leg, oh my gosh, that hold, I don't know, I'd call it a shoulder on a human, but I guess that's what it was with that horse, and he was all bloody. So anyway, the police officer finally came back over to us and told us that he said they had been the one that hit us, and that just as he was trying to get the horse to stop at the intersection to my right, the horse bolted right into my car. So talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh my goodness! So that really very nervous about the whole thing, but I think that makes a very interesting story. My sister says you need to write an article for the Reader's Digest. I said, well, I'd kind of like to know what happened on the other side. What was the horse and buggy's position on the whole matter? But anyway, we were quite
Shelby, you have a question.
that out of the hand. What did you say, Rebel? Did you try to get?
Yes, we have a question.
Okay.
So they didn't fess up right from the get-go. They just waited to see what the police were going to say, and then they fessed up.
Well, we were sitting there for about 45 minutes, and the first half hour we were alone. The police officer came, and about 10 minutes after the police officer came, I noticed this buggy coming towards me on the road very slowly, and that he had pulled over on his shoulder. So he was waiting over there. But yeah, I thought, this is a hit and run, isn't it? I don't know.
The horse
he did
and
come
buggy
back,
hit.
and he said it took him a while to get the horse calmed down and, get the buggy. But it took them probably about 40 minutes to turn around and come back. So
he made
really
that horse who was struggling come all the way back. That's a horrible thing. That's a traumatic experience for you guys and the horse.
Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah, I thought maybe a gunshot hit. Somebody had shot us in the window. It was very nerve-wracking. In fact, when I called 911 from the car there, I told them I was in Nottawa, which is a little city that I was going through, but that I was on Highway 12. Well, Highway 12 didn't go through Nottawa. Highway 12 is kind of where I live. And finally she said, well, if you're not, you must be on 8660. And I had to think a minute. I was really mixed up, really confused in the beginning. But yeah, I really felt sorry for the horse because he was hurt too. Any other questions?
No, we're just glad that y'all made it through. Unfortunately, we think the horse is probably going to have to be put down.
That's what I was wondering. He was a beautiful one. He really was. I just wanted to mention to the audience, since we're ad-libbing kind of today, and any day actually, if you want to call in and tell a story or ask a question by calling in, the number is 561 623 9429. And maybe we have a little chat there. But yep, that was one of my big stories for this week. That happened a week ago last Friday. And so then I've got some other things going on. My hands and my shoulders have been hurting for quite a while, and I finally went to the doctor. I thought maybe my rotator cuff surgery might have been dissolving or something. So I went to shoulder doctor, and he said my shoulders were fine and that I needed an MRI. So he sent me to an MRI. And in the middle time, I decided to go see the hand doctor because I was in quite a bit of pain with my hands. And I found out there that my thumbs are the joint that connect the thumb to the hand damaged, and I need a replacement. I had partial knee replacement, but I didn't know you could replace joints in your hand. So I was thinking about that when I got the MRI back, and the doctor said I have scoliosis. I'm not sure if any of you know what that is, but apparently I saw the X-ray of the MRI report, and you can see the spinal cord going down from your brain down to the rest of your body. And there's a white fluid around that spinal cord, and that's what protects us. So when you have a fall or an accident like we had last Friday, it keeps your neck, so that your body does not, or your spinal cord is not damaged. And then, because if it is, depending on where that blockage is, you could, well, like he said, it's down below my neck. So the blockage is in my neck, and anything below, if I have an accident, that could really damage the spinal cord, and I could be quadriplegic for the rest of my life. Boy, that was not a very pleasant news either. So here I am waiting for the scheduler to call me to schedule surgery on my neck. So here I've really had a week and a half, I'll tell you. And I really am trying to be resilient and trying to not to think positively about the whole thing. And sometimes I need a little help. So someone gave me a piece of paper just yesterday, and I thought, I'm going to read this to you. It says, as long as you feel pain, you are still alive. As long as you make mistakes, you're still human. And as long as you keep trying, there's still hope. And I needed to hear that this week, didn't you? Yeah, I'm still alive, and I'm still human, and I'm still hoping, and I'm learning to be resilient. So who is this Shelby Wagner besides all of this? Well, I didn't have really much to happen to me over the years, and I guess I've been really blessed. But I've had a difficult week here, and I'm sure some of you also have been having difficult weeks, and I hope that we can be an inspiration for each other. Well, I tend to be an overachiever. I've been teasing all my friends and say, well, Shelby's unique, and she has problems. They're in a big way. I got broadsided by a horse. A lot of people get hit by a deer, or they hit a deer and, it just destroys their car. But I had a different story, and I thought that was funny. So I am an overachiever. I have 2 bachelor degrees and a master's degree. The bachelor degrees are both from Oakland University. I was in the charter class in 1959. Michigan State University was opening this satellite to their university that was about 3 miles from my house. And I was graduating from high school in 1959. And so my folks said, that's where you're going to go, because we can't afford dorms and all that. So I checked into or registered with Oakland University as a music major. And my sophomore year, actually before the sophomore year, at the end of the first year, they brought me in the office and told me they were not going to have a music degree during my time there. And so I would need to change colleges or change majors. And so my parents again told me they couldn't afford to pay room and board, and that school was right there next door almost. And so they thought I should change majors. And so I got my first bachelor's degree in elementary education, and I taught for 11 years in Rochester, Michigan. I taught first grade, I taught third grade, and I taught sixth grade. 6 years in sixth grade. And I loved it. I really did. And then I finally had my family. So I stayed home for until I had my daughter. And then 2 years later, I was supposed to go back to teaching again. I had a 2-year leave, and I was pregnant again. And so, well, actually, I had my son. So I decided to stay home. I stayed home with them then until my son started first grade. But during that time, I also got my master's degree at Michigan State then. And my senior year before we graduated, MSUO became Oakland University. And we had the rings and the diplomas and all of that would reflect that it was Oakland University and not Michigan State University, Oakland. So it's been quite exciting being a member of a charter class of a university. We are honored. We have been honored throughout the years at different functions. And I don't know if you're familiar with Oakland University, but it was the property in Rochester Hills was given to Michigan State University to build a college there by Matilda Wilson. And her husband at the time, Mr. Dodge, part of the Dodge car business. Anyway, Mrs. Wilson had us as the charter class. She had us in her home several different times throughout the 4 years, and since they lived in a castle for a few years, and that is called Meadowbrook Hall. We had several events in Meadowbrook Hall, which was fun to be a part of that and see that. And then they built another home on the property, which they call Sunset Terrace. And we also were there. That is where the president of the university now lives, is in Sunset Terrace. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And it's on the hill, and you can see the buildings of the Oakland University, which has changed a lot since I was there in 1959 to 1963. Well, enough about that. I did have fun teaching. I got my music degree then when my kids were old enough to start school. And when people find out I'm a musician, right away up in the school district in Oxford, where we had moved to by that time, when they found out I had been a teacher and that I had my music degree, they started wanting me to substitute for them, and I did. And that led into a full-time job teaching music in Oxford, which I was also employed there for 10 or 11 years. And I taught in a Montessori school. Also, I taught music and computers. My husband was an engineer at General Motors and was learning about computers, and so that kind of interested me, and I got interested in computers too. Anyway, he passed away in 2016, and we had moved to Tennessee and built a home down there. And someday I'm going to tell you about that. I probably won't have time today, but maybe I will. We'll see. So we retired. When both of us retired, we moved to Tennessee and built a house down there. And so that's a whole another story. We first, of course, we had taken a building class, so we could be sure that the builders and carpenters were doing what they were supposed to do. We had been told that a lot of the people they got to work for them, either they didn't show up for work, they wanted to be paid, and then they didn't come back, or so we were advised of the scams that were going on at that time in that kind of business and industry. So we were there every day. We built a roundhouse. Well, maybe I'll tell you now. We built a Deltec home. And the Deltec home had 17 sides. So 17 8-foot sides. So you put it together kind of like a puzzle. The house came in a truck, uh, and they built it on site. It was quite interesting. We had 3 circles. We had a insulated concrete basement level, lower level, partially. It was half underground and half not, and then walkout basement, I guess was what we called it. And then the second floor was the Delta part, and it was quite an experience. We loved it everywhere we the product come in the truck. The trusses were built. The floor joists were all together. The sides, the 17 8-foot sides were roughed in, if you know what that means. So we had to get a lift truck to come when the basement got ready and the floor, and then they lifted those 8-foot panels up onto the foundation or the basement. And boy, I tell you, I had nightmares because we had the foundation, and then that was one circle, and then we had the basement walls, which was the second circle, and then we had the Deltec home, which is a third circle. I asked the builder the night before the Deltec delivery was going to be made. I said, "Well, how do we know this is all going to meet each other?" And he says, "Shelby, you gave me the dimensions, and if you gave them to me right, they should work." And oh man, I was holding my breath for a couple of days there, but it worked. We had a beautiful home down there. So anyway, that was in 2016. And after we did the landscaping and finished up the house and everything, we got looking for something else to do. And so we went and worked at Dollywood for about 5 years. And we helped Dollywood feed the company picnics. Companies would pay for their employees to come for a day at Dollywood every year. And we were supposed to work just on weekends, but it led to a little bit more than that. But that was very interesting, and it was quite a shock going from our salary, me as a teacher and my husband as an engineer, down to $6.25 an hour to wipe tables and sweep the floor and carry out garbage and stuff like that. But we did it, and it was fun. We met a lot of people. That was moving from Michigan down to Tennessee. We'd left our friends here in Michigan, and so we didn't know anybody, but we got to know quite a few people there, and that was quite an experience. And then my husband decided he wanted to build websites, so we took classes and learned how to do HTML and all of that. And we were just getting starting to make a little money at it when we discovered he had the cancer, and recession also hit in 2008. And we built 40 websites at the time, and a lot of those small companies went under during that 2008 time. So anyway, that's another segment of our life. So when my husband died, my daughter invited me to come back to Michigan and live with them until my house in Tennessee would sell. And it was a unique house, so it was hard to find comps for the appraisal that the banks wanted for mortgages in that. But we finally worked it out, found a buyer, and I came here to Michigan. And so I've been happy. They say, "Do you miss Tennessee?" And I said, I try not to think about it too much, because yes, I would miss it a lot. But I'm also got involved in dancing, and that's why, whoops, it's over here. My book is called Learning to Dance in the Rain. And the reason I called it that is because the rain was the grieving time, the tears, and whatever. And one of the things that really helped me to get through that very traumatic time was that I learned to dance. I had always loved to dance since junior high school, and but my husband, he didn't, and so we had other activities that we loved to do. But I finally, while I was in my grieving period, started learning to line dance, and so that's where what helped me to get through that time. It helped me to meet new people and make friends in a new area of Michigan. I came from the southeast side of Michigan, and now I live in the kind of the southwest side. But anyway, I've been quite happy here too, and I I know that it says don't sell your house, don't make major decisions when you have just lost your loved one, and that's good advice. In my case, it worked out fine. I had the support of my son and my daughter, and I found a lot of widows and widowers don't have that support from the rest of their family. And I really, really advise people that, hey, family is important. And yeah, you may not get along very well with your brothers and sisters, maybe with your father or your mother, who knows. But you know what? When there's a death in the family of one of those parents, the other one really needs their family around them. They really need understanding. And this is the time to put aside your own hurts and that, and think about your mom that's left or your dad, and do whatever it is you can to help them in their grieving time and help them to make decisions and so on. So I started the dancing, but I also learned that dance is a metaphor. It's an activity that take up a new hobby, learn to do something new. If you're grieving, activity is very important. Just sitting home day by day and not going out, not calling anybody, you're going to be sad, and you're going to be sad a lot longer than if you get out and make friends, get out, learn new things to do, and keep busy. I told you about going to the spine doctor, and when I left there last Thursday, he gave me a book, My Guide to Spine Surgery. Yeah, and I think it's got some like 79 or 82 pages. Wow. And he says, read it right from beginning to end. But one of the things that surprised me, because I was told that I would be in healing for 12 weeks. I would not be able to dance during that 12 weeks. I was not to lift anything heavier than a gallon jug of milk, as they say. And it says it's a time to rest. But you know what? It also says activity. It's important to be active. So I'm thinking that seems to be the reverse of what. So I'm thinking, all right, so when I'm healing and I'm sitting in my chair reading or whatever it is I'm going to do during that rest period, I need to get up every hour and take a walk around my house, or, just get up and walk and move and do things like that. And so it just means not to overdo. But I think some people just stop when it hurts. they just stop doing anything that's fun. And it's funny, but even when I had the uh, knee replacement, I wasn't I was only about 8 months, 9 months out from having the surgery when I learned about the dance classes. And I thought, well, can I do it with a knee replacement? Can I dance? And my balance was a little messed up too. But I loved to dance when I was in junior high and high school, and I love music. Of course, I have a degree in music. I played church organ for almost all these years since I was 16, and I found out that dancing, number one, it helped my balance. It's just like Jerry said a few weeks ago in Dance into Life, dancing helps you to heal. Exercise helps you to heal. So dance is any activity. So not only did I learn to dance literally, I also learned to play euchre during that time of that, and I love to play cards. I think it's fun to be with your friends and joke back and forth as you um, play the cards, and yeah, it's fun to poke fun at each other if I don't know, things come out. My husband, one time, my mom was at my house for a few weeks every winter when I was in Tennessee, and she was alive, and we would play baseball. I don't know if you're familiar. Another name, it's very similar to golf, if you know that, but it's a very easy game. And so we'd be playing it, and we'd be talking and shooting back, jokes at each other. My husband would come upstairs and he says, "You two sound like you're arguing. Why are you playing cards if you're arguing and fighting?" "Oh, we're not arguing. We're just having fun, you know. And don't you hear us laughing?" And yeah, I do, but I didn't understand it. And I said, "Well, we're having fun because we're communicating with each other." And I think, you with this, you can see all these people with their cell phones all the time in their hand, texting back and forth and whatever. And I'm wondering about our human communication, what that's going to be like in a few years from now. It's already, I think, affecting whether children can react, talk with each other, and that I hope it doesn't replace that. But I think my daughter is very wise. My grandson loves to play the games on the iPad or the computer. And my daughter will set the timer, and he can play for 45 minutes or an hour. And then they put the computer away for an hour, and then he has to do some other activity and get moving. And I think she is very wise in that. And it's kind of a pattern, even. I kept at it when I babysat with him. Yeah, we'd set the timer, and he and I would play uh, shoots and ladders, or I taught him to play the baseball game. Also, he liked to play that. And euchre. Well, no, we haven't got to euchre. He's only 9, so he hasn't learned to play that. But um, we did play games for about an hour, and then he could go and play outside for a bit, or he could go and play his computer games, and then we'd set it the timer again so that he would know, okay, that's enough for now. You got to be active now for a while. So I suggest that as a solution also. So I was just wondering if we had any people that might be calling in or might have some experience out there that you would like to tell us about or share. That number again, if I can find it, is where did I put it? Oh yeah, it's
561 623.
561 623 9429. And I hope I mentioned that Matt Thornton, who was supposed to be here today, he's with Everything Investigative. He was very sorry he couldn't be here today, but we rescheduled him for I think it's 2 weeks from today on the 26th. So I'm really looking forward to talking with him and finding out. You know, I don't know if you watch these shows where the investigators are out there uh, trying to solve mysteries and trying to solve who done it, who killed who or whatever. And I've always thought, wow, I wonder how they do that. So I'm looking forward to him coming. Next week, also, I'm going to have I think it's a young lady named Louise, and she's from the UK, and she's going to be talking about an incident that her mom had um, within the bank and with a scam. And her mom received a message from the bank that I don't know exactly what it said, but I got one too. Actually, I've got the opposite of a scam. It was when I went to access my account on Farmers State Bank, there's a statement that comes up and says, we do not text you or send emails to you about any problem. And we never ask you for your account numbers and all of that. So uh, this bank of her mother's, I'm not going to tell the story because I'm going to wait till next week and let her tell the story to you. But that's a scam. And these companies, these scammers are getting so good. I got 2 emails this week from says Geek Squad, and it had the logo in the upper left-hand corner. And Geek Squad was something that I bought at Best Buy like 4 or 5 years ago. They are the tech support for Best Buy. And I think I had a year's contract with it, but it expired a long time ago. So what did I do? I got an email. It says Geek Squad, and we have renewed your subscription, and for $489, and we're just letting you know that this is what we did. If you disagree with it or call this number. Well, number one, it had to be a scam because I didn't have a subscription still. That subscription expired long ago. So that was a question in my mind immediately. So what was I going to do? Call that number that they gave me? If that's a scam, then I'd just be calling them and allowing them to come into my life and make it miserable for the rest of it. So what did I do? I went on Best Buy's website, got the telephone number, and I called Best Buy. And told them what happened, and they wanted to know if I had the email address that email had come from. So I sent it to them, and they said, well, this is a scam, and you need to forward that email to I think it's care@bestbuy.com, or I forgot now what it was. But anyway, I could have easily called that number and gotten myself scammed again. It looked real to me. The only thing was I knew I didn't have a subscription, a live one anyway. So you really have to be careful and check out these things that come to you in the mail. I was questioning another company that I was about to do business with, and I got a call from somebody else that claimed to be from the same company, and so I said, well, I'm already working with this guy, and I gave him the name. I said, can you tell me if he really works for your company? And the person said, well, just a minute. And then he came back and he says, yeah, he works in our company, but he's in a different state than I am. But yeah, his name is on the list. So it pays to check things out, especially when you get something in the email or a phone call from somebody who's wanting to know your information. And you do not want to give anybody your information without talking to that company or without knowledge of whether they are who they say they are. And I've learned that the hard way. My first book, Learning to Dance in the Rain, the last, it's in 4 parts. The first one, it starts with my story because I thought, oh, they're going to want to know who this person is. And so the first, or part 1, tells the story of what happened with my husband and 4 days before he died, and how I learned that he had died. Can you believe we were at the hospital and I was in the waiting room. They had taken my husband into the the not emergency room, but the other one. I never can remember what that is. But anyway, and they said I could come in there when they got him settled. And I waited, and I said, how long do you think that'll be? About 15 minutes, they said. Okay, so I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And finally, 2.5 hours later, my name is announced on the PA, and I go out to the door, and this young nurse, there were 2 of them out in the hall, and they said, we're sorry to tell you, but he didn't make it. And I didn't know what that meant. It couldn't have meant what maybe I was trying to tickle my brain over here. No, couldn't have meant that. Well, didn't he make his bed? He was too sick to make his bed. You know, those things went through my head. And I said, what did you say? And she said, Mr. Wagner didn't make it. And then, we're sorry, but his heart stopped when we inserted the tube. It was going down his throat because they were intubation. They were going to get the medicine couldn't get down to his lungs. He had a bad case of pneumonia. And I thought, well, why are you here? You know, why aren't you down there helping him? And well, Mrs. Wagner, he's gone. How's that for a way to learn that your husband of 50 years has died? How did you learn that your spouse had passed away? If anybody's out there and would like to share, I would like to hear it. Someone said, well, the doctor told you what, blah, 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 blah. I never saw the doctor. It was those 2 young nurses, very timidly telling me. So that's part 1, more than that. But yeah, part 2, I had lost my self-confidence, and how was I going to get it back? So part 2 was all the information that helped me to regain my self-confidence. And otherwise, I wouldn't be here sitting before you right now. I wouldn't have had the confidence to write that book either. And so there's a bunch of questions to help in part 3 to help you decide what it is you want to do with the rest of your life. Maybe you want to stay single so you can spend, babysit with your kids or travel or do all those things that you want to do. But I get you to thinking about your future and assessing those options and making a decision, because that's what I did. And then during that process, I decided that I needed a friend because I had moved to Michigan and I left my friends behind. So then that was before the dance. I knew about the dances. So that's the third part, is getting to know yourself and what do you want to do. My decision was I wanted to meet somebody, not to fall in love at first. That wasn't it. It was to meet a friend. Well, I found out I wanted more. And so I started dating again, and I give a lot of advice about dating. And I romance scammed. I did get scammed. But I could have got scammed 1,000 times. I think I must have had at least 1,000 repeat people that requested money from me once I started on that site. So before you start to do internet dating, read my book, and then you'll have a successful experience and a positive one, and that's very important. So I'm going to have to close now, and thank you for sticking with me to the end. And I'll be happy to welcome you next week to hear Louise's story about her mother. Thank you very much, and I'll see you then. Bye bye. This is Shelby signing off. Oh, there's my book on scams up there too to help you.